exactly summary articles. Article summary ya guys. About 10 articles that I read before, and exactly Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi everyone, welcome back to my video. So today I would like to tell you about 10 articles that I read. Exactly article summary for extensive reading in UIN Jakarta 2022. Before that, let me introduce myself to you. My name is Putri Nurhaliza. I'm from English Education Department at Islamic University of Jakarta with student number 066. And without any further ado, let's get started. Article summary for ER 2022 only Jakarta. So let's move to the first article. The first one is building a better teacher in early childhood education by basic coverage. So the purpose of this article is anyone who has ever supervised a student, teacher knows the relationship must not be authoritarian and static, but authoritative and fluid. Taking a more generous view, however, I recognize even not flood the basic aim of alternative teacher preparation programs to improve the effectiveness of teacher preparation. And the rule, of course, is the explicit goal of most is to improve teacher preparation beyond the perceived capacity associated with traditional teacher preparations progress. And the result of this article is, as the Fiji suggests, the resulting disequilibrium helps candidates develop not only one enhanced perspective on international childhood and education, but a valuable and mature understanding of their role as teachers in their home schools. The public and private sectors' interest in building the so-called better teacher should not be underestimated. To do so is to risk losing control of our own destiny as much as what happened in terms of the academicization of the early years. Now let's move to the second article. The title of the second article is Using Games as a Tool in Teaching Vocabulary to Young Learners by Sahar Amir Baksh. So the purpose of this article is teachers are responsible for finding out interesting and attractive ways to teach and motivate their students. The main reason for choosing this topic is personal interest. Having son, nieces, and nephews in the elementary level sparked my interest in finding fun and interesting ways to teach them vocabulary. Games prove to be an effective tool when devised to explain vocabularies, and they make it easier to remember their meanings. So the result of this article is when teaching young learners vocabulary using games, teachers must be patient in finding new and interesting ways so that students enjoy learning. Games can help young learners to learn their vocabulary effectively. As explained above, there are two games to be used to teach vocabulary, example like memory challenge and bingo. Teachers should consider time and materials when designing or choosing the game. And let's move to the third article. So the title of the third article is Second Language Acquisition Applied to English Language Teaching by Nathaniel Lutton. So the purpose of this article is he is also careful to distinguish between English as a second language or ESL and English as a foreign language or EFL. In EFL context, English is not widely spoken as a first language, and learners normally have much less opportunity to use it in natural communicative situations. Thus, while the underlying learning process are essentially the same, as according by Mitchell and Maylis, 2004, page 6. The application of theory to classroom practice can look quite different. So the result of this article is in this slide. The book could be most usable in one of two ways, either as a short course in a series of professional development workshops or as a reference tool for teachers to read and reread using the reflective questions to take stock of their classroom practice and thereby come to the particular kind of clarity afforded by a better understanding of both their role and that of their students in the process of second language acquisition. Let's move to the fourth article. So the fourth article is a thematic review of blended learning in higher education by John Marco. And the purpose of this article is called Quiz Label with Sermon and Farmer 2015, affirmed that learning habits are influenced by cultural experience. Based on the evidence available, it seems fair to suggest that the efforts and needs to preserve the culture of learners deserve upholding and should be reflected in the learning process in all all haste. The result of this article is conclusively the thematic analysis of scholarly publications in BL in higher education use a systematic and reproducible approach. In order for the books to be well studied and attained, studies are needed in the blended learning framework that is based on learners' needs and learning process. So let's move to the fifth article. The fifth article is Teaching the Cause of Rape Culture, Toxic Masculinity by Jeremy Posadas. So the purpose of this article is, after several sessions detailing the mechanisms and extent of rape culture, students work in groups to design actions or programs that could chip away at some aspect of rape culture that each group selected. These creative projects often resulted in proposals that could contribute in real ways to eradicating sexual violence. More importantly, students repeatedly began to see eradicating sexual violence as something in which they had a stake. So the results of this article is students work in groups to design a program segregated toward either elementary age or adolescent boys and at forming their gender identities and interpersonal practice and alternatives to toxic masculine violence. I judge it to be worthwhile on balance to reinforce the notion that to eradicate rape culture, we must transform how we collectively raise our voice. And let's go to the sixth article. Is Teaching and Learning English as a Foreign Language by Tara Mahmoud Ali Al-Agha. So the purpose of this article is the teaching and learning of a language, regardless of whether it's foreign or second, is defined as a process when a person learns a language that is considered non-native to him. That is one which does not exist in the community where the person's language is typically spoken. There is often a major difference between that is considered as foreign and what is considered as second. The result of this article is handwriting is not only a mechanical lower-level skill but also a meaningful process. The example of methods used to teach vocabulary is using adjectives and creating adverbs out of them. In the end, it can be concluded that a learner should always be careful and pay attention to the techniques, methods, and approach provided by the teacher in order to facilitate learning. So let's move to the seventh article. This is about learning business English in China, the construction of professional identity by Brigitte Blanken. So the purpose of this article is insight into how students make sense of the knowledge and the skills they practice they are exposed to in the EFP classroom and in relation to the real world, allow teaching practitioners to gauge what is realistically achievable through ESP learning and control rely on this time to which students are able to go beyond acquiring business language skill and professional knowledge to develop an identity as a member of the professional community of practice they will eventually join. So the result of this article is the findings with regard to the students' development of a professional identity and the four factors that constitute. Zhang's investigation is impressive in part its scope and detail. It is not only highly relevant to ESP and business English teaching, but also timely given the increase in recent years of business English courses in internationally oriented programs offered at institutes of higher education and in the numbers of students learning business English not only in China but around the world. We move to the 8th article. The next article is about students' attitudes towards teachers, use of code switching and its impact on learning English by Ahmed Rauf. So the purpose of this article is the ability of using two languages simultaneously with native proficiency is called bilingualism. The present should explore the attitude of the students towards the use of code switching, the relationship between code switching and its effect on students' learning and the impact of Urdu English code switching on students' proficiency in target language. So the result of this article is the findings indicate that code switching is interesting and meaningful phenomenon which is strategically used to the use of bilingual code switching enhance the motivation of students in learning English. So this is the 9 article that is about the implementation of interactive multimedia learning materials in teaching listening skills. So this is article by Andri Temri Temba. That is the purpose of this article is the first one is there is not any significant difference between the result of teaching listening skills to interactive multimedia learning materials using Wondershare quiz creator program and the results of the teaching listening skills through audio materials or HO. And the next is there is a significant difference between the result of teaching listening skills through interactive multimedia learning materials using Wondershare quiz creator program and the results of teaching listening skills through audio materials or HO. And the result of this article is it can be concluded that interactive multimedia learning materials using Wondershare quiz creator are effectively used in teaching listening skills. Effectiveness is also proved by the achievement of learning objectives. Each learning objective is measured in every implementation, which consists of videos of dialogue and monologue which are heard by the students. Therefore, the students can train their listening skills so that the learning objective can be achieved. And the last article is about an analysis of errors in writing skills of adult Iranian EFL learners preparing for the IELTS. This article is by Nima Paularian, Mohammad Sarek Baheri, and Firoz Zadikhi. The purpose of this article is the writing scale on which the present study focus is the hotspot of language errors, and since few studies could be found to have investigated errors thoroughly in IELTS candidates, the main purpose of this study is to investigate the types and causes of errors in the use of English for IELTS academic model that are frequently made by Iranian EFL students, hoping to help candidates and their tutors in avoiding them. So the result of this article is the findings of the present study can have implications for EFL learners, teachers, test developers, and researchers. Being informed of the most common mistake classes as well as the primary mistake sources, educators can focus on the students' linguistic problems. This can increase their awareness concerning the difficulties of the language education method. So, alright, thank you. Alright everyone, thank you for me. Thanks for your kind attention. I'm sorry if I have a lot of mistakes to explain about this article. So, if you have any questions about the article, feel free to leave that comment in the section as well. So yeah, that's all I have now. Thanks for watching. Goodbye and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.